So let's jump into the 2022 races here. We'll start local and go out. Close with the big one. So locally, for those of you that have followed this program before, we did a lot of coverage last year around the Oklahoma County Jail Trust, and that there were a bunch of countywide races last time, but this in 2022 there are going to be a bunch more. And specifically 2 county commissioner seats, and one of which is the illustrious Kevin Calvi. He is far right, famous for when he was a state legislator, threatening to light himself on fire on the Capitol steps. So he has
a Russian oligarch brother.
Yes.
What's the funniest shit in the world? Like how does your brother become a Russian oligarch? Like, how the fuck?
It's tough. You gotta work for it. Yeah, his brother has done time in a Russian jail for crimes against the government for embezzlement and stuff.
Kremlin. He fucks with the Kremlin. Like, how did I don't know. I don't know. And that's just me. That's like a fucking storyline on like Veep or The Office or some shit. Like, yeah, and his brother's a Russian oligarch. Like, what? Yeah. Like, that's just, I don't know. But that being said, it takes a lot to beat him. He literally has oligarch money in his family.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, Calvi is a very conservative Catholic. He has Russian oligarch money out there somewhere. So I mean, he's comes from a deeply connected family connected to a bunch of crazy stuff. But he is also famous for trying to sue the county, like sue himself effectively because he's on the jail trust. Really bizarre dude who is also extraordinarily conservative.
He's a truly bad legislator in addition to his Russian oligarchical brother.
Yes.
Russian oligarch.
So, announced in the race, there's another gentleman, Jay Bridwell, who I don't know too much about, but I believe he has a mental health background. He announced earlier on the Democratic side, but more recently, Kathy Cummings announced. She is an elected representative in the village, has also been the mayor. They have a rotating mayor process. So it looks like her pitch is going to be running on that kind of small town mayor thing, which I think is a positive, good platform to run on. So she is going to be trying to connect with all those small towns that encompass or are touched by County Commissioner Seat 3, which is the village, Edmond, Arcadia, and the far northwest parts of Oklahoma City. Kathy owns a restaurant, Vito's Italian restaurant, so I think she's an interesting. I think this will be a good one to watch now, just because she has electoral experience. She's run for office in other capacities as well, other than being an elected representative in the village, but also can connect with. Some of the demographics you're going to need to connect with in that county commission seat, specifically white Republican women. That is unfortunately a demographic that needs to get pulled, to the Democratic side in order for a candidate to have a chance. I like that for her. And I also like the small town mayor thing. Yeah.
I know that we've had many county conversations here. But on our live stream, but just can you take just like a brief 90 seconds or something and just explain the county commissioner's primary role in like the most pressing issues for this county commissioner in that seat?
So I would say that the most pressing thing the county does roads and bridges. Like that is their main thing, is infrastructure. Stuff specifically outside of the jurisdiction of Oklahoma City. But the single biggest asset they have is the Oklahoma County Jail. So they are responsible for everything that happens there. And there's a big fight about what the future of that building and all that holds.
The county jail's a fucking mess. Nick is saying it better. It's a fucking catastrophe.
Human rights violation.
Yeah, it is a travesty on 12 floors. It is like 12 floors of horror, torture, and oppression. It is as any resident of Oklahoma County should be ashamed that such a travesty, a crime against humanity exists in our beloved county. Like, and that needs to be addressed. And that is something um, Halvey has seemed to have little interest in addressing in appropriate and adequate ways. Right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, what ultimately, and I don't know how much better Kathy will be on this, but like what ultimately is they need funding sources for services and alternatives. I mean, that is the thing they need to get to. Maybe there's parts of the sheriff's budget they could carve into to get a little bit of that, but I mean, the real issue with the jail is there are too many people going into it, and we don't have good alternatives. So in addition, in 2022, and why I think this race is important is because the big countywide races, the biggest one is the district attorney. We will have a DA race in 2022. We do not know of a candidate yet. We've heard some rumors. Probably won't put them out there just to let people get their feet set before we get out there. But I'll just say, of the rumors I've heard, I'm not very impressed, and I'm not real excited about it. There's a rumor that the really bad far-right judge that was going to run may not run because of issues with the judiciary in Oklahoma County, where a judge was found to be, sexually harassing and sleeping with multiple DAs.
They found quote bodily fluids in his office, and I'm gonna just say this. Now you find a lot of shit in my office, like maybe some old coffee cakes, or I don't know, but bodily fluids. You gonna find, if you find some bodily fluids in my office, we're gonna have to have that kind of like, who the fuck is it? Like,
need DNA test to go with that.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? But anyway, so I want to put that out.
Yeah. So
right.
I mean,
very moral.
So the DA race, I mean, it's terrifying because David Prater is a very dangerous, cruel, kind of insane person. But the rumor is he's not going to run again. People are scared of running against, probably even being perceived as running against him, or what his vision for the office is because he will use the power of the district attorney's office to go after them. But there has to be some lawyer out there that's clean enough and confident enough to get in here and do something about it, because Oklahoma County is our best chance to get a progressive or reasonably progressive DA in the state of Oklahoma, and it is driving the incarceration for the state of Oklahoma. Like, Prater locks up more people than any county in the state, partly because we're the largest, but also because he has a very high percentage of convictions and stuff, and drives very terrible, hard bargains that puts people that don't need to be put away for many, many, many years far beyond what any other state in the country does. So the DA is incredibly powerful, incredibly important. I like having people like Kathy on the ticket because I think we need that down ballot energy if we want to flip Oklahoma County. But yeah, I mean, we need some good candidates. Like, so if you know a lawyer in Oklahoma County that would have any interest in running for district attorney,
do not fucking call me. Don't
y'all
know me. Yeah, not me, but some lawyer, some reasonable lawyer. But yeah, man, like the power that position has is so vast, and that's how Prater chooses to wield it, is to be a vindictive dick. But the power that office has is so vast, and we have to have a reasonable voice in that room. So it is a very, very, very important race, and we see it all of the time. We saw it with the fucking terrorism charges during the protests, right? We see it when you see, consider how often Oklahoma City police kill somebody, right? And like, will that office be a deterrent to them? Like, listen, if you do that, we will prosecute you, right? Would that be a possible deterrent? I mean, and the Oklahoma County Jail, and just this huge incarceration problem that we have, right? Like, a DA is powerful enough, and many DAs have done this. DA is powerful enough to say, if you elect me, for example, I'm not going to convict sex workers, right? If a sex worker comes before me, we're going to get them the services they need, not forcefully. Like, listen, here's a list of things, here's a list of people, good nonprofits, because there's some very problematic nonprofits in that space. Some good nonprofits willing to help you, willing to assist you, but the jail ain't the answer. right? Oklahoma County Jail ain't the answer. You can do it with a variety of just choosing to say, right? We're not going to prosecute that, right?
Yep.
Now, I mean, I don't need to go into depth about how I feel about DAs. The reason I couldn't do it because it should have lasted 20 minutes. Because as soon as I get up there, listen, if you can prove you're hungry, you're starving, and you go rob and you go take not rob, but if you prove you're hungry, that's a complete defense. And Ron Jones' DA to larceny of merchandise from a retailer. You had no money that day, you needed a sandwich. Well, I understand. So I would be DA for like 6 minutes, and then it's like he was hungry. I mean, what do you want? Like. I'd be DA for 6 minutes, and then they'd haul me out of the building and put my black ass in jail. And I don't want to go to jail, so it won't work. I'm sorry, guys.
I think it was Henderson was the name of the judge that was found who got removed.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. I think we need to build a complete ticket. I think Carrie Bloomer's going to run for re-election. There's also the county assessor and the treasurer that are up. These are also interesting races that people should really think about because the county assessor obviously sets property tax values, and that can be done well or not. Larry Stein, I think, in his defense, is probably a reasonable assessor. He's been in the office for a long time. He was the deputy before, but he is a hardcore Republican activist and a big-time Trumper, virulent racist. So, I mean, like, he might be good at assessing property values and know his shit, but, you know, we can do it without the side of racism. Like, it's possible. Like, there are people who are good at both assessing property values and not being virulent racists. So we should definitely get an upgrade there. And then Butch Freeman actually wasn't too terrible this last go-around. He stood with Carrie Bloomer on a lot of the CARES Act funding shenanigans and stuff like that. But he's like 100 years old. And, again, we don't have to be ruled by a gerontocracy. He can... I mean, I don't even know if he's going to run again, to be honest, man. But I think he's in his 80s. So we can find people who, are a little more ready to carry the workload and find out the things that the county should be doing better. I mean, like we don't need a guy who's just sitting on a fat retirement check, basically. And I just love to see somebody exciting run for treasurer to, again, galvanize votes for a big, nasty, brutal fight in the DA race.